You're listening to Brainbusta Radio.
What's happening, wrestling fans? This is Conrad Cushman from the Everything Pro Wrestling Podcast. And right now, you're listening to Wrestling Reverb Podcast on Brainbusta Radio.
Hey, yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J. Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J. Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, 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 yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to a very special live recording of Wrestling Reverb. I am Josh. Kevin is here as well. Kevin, how are you today?
I'm good. I am so excited to be doing what we're doing today. I've been giddily waiting all day to get this done.
Yeah, we thought we'd try something else. Live record this on Twitch. It's really no different than when you hear us on a Friday on Brainbusta Radio, but hey, change it up. Get some nice little live feedback of our stuff, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Kevin, it's been a big week in wrestling, but before we get to wrestling, how's your week been? Busy week?
That's been pretty good. I've been house sitting this week for a friend of mine, watching his two dogs and his bird. So if you hear loud noises coming from my end at any point during this show, it is the bird talking.
Oh, it's a talky kind. So I have a phobia of birds. I believe I've told you this before, but I'm. It's not that I don't like them. I'm just scared of them, like big time.
Okay, that's not the worst thing. One time I got attacked by a bird.
Oh hell!
I don't know. Yeah, I was walking around campus when I was in school. And all of a sudden, a bird dive bombed me from out of nowhere, and I was so confused because I'd never seen a bird attack a person before. I didn't like it.
Damn, birds are no joke. They can really fuck your day up, to be honest.
Really?
But birds are not my friends. I'll stick to cats, Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah, cats are great. They're no dogs though.
We had this conversation, and we all know I'm right. Anyway, let's talk about some wrestling. This week was, I thought, pretty damn good, to be honest.
Yeah, you were definitely able to tell during the Monday and Tuesday during Raw and Smackdown that they were putting in some effort, which we hadn't seen in quite some time. So it felt really good to be I felt like they were trying for us, and it feels really good to see that. And Raw and SmackDown were both good.
Yeah, I thought Raw was really good.
Yeah, Raw in particular, I thought was just 3 hours of entertaining action, and it didn't make you want to turn it off.
Yeah, which is something that we can't really say has been happening as of late.
No, Raw's made me want to change the channel plenty of times in the last couple of months. I hate to do it because I love wrestling, and I hope and I wish every single week that Raw would get better. And it may be that finally I'm getting my hopes and dreams realized, but it's important to see where they go from here. You have one good show. You got to string together a couple of good shows before people are going to start coming back. Yeah,
no joke. You really do. You have to keep the ball rolling, because Raw's had plenty of times where we've had a good episode and then nothing. But hey, I'm optimistic. Let's keep it rolling. Keep everything going smoothly.
Yeah, definitely. Being an eternal optimist is nice, Josh. It really helps your mindset. I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I'm like, oh, what are they going to do next week to screw me over and push me away? But I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I hope as well. Let's just take into account that Raw. We'll talk about Raw first, seeing it was, on first, but the kind of premise of the whole show, the flow, it just flowed really nicely. Kind of Seth, taking out everyone with a chair, with Baron Corbin, aligning with Baron Corbin. It felt like that was the kind of main deal within the show, and it just kind of, everything just kind of went with it. It just flowed really nicely, that's the biggest problem I have with Raw, is that the show is so inconsistent. There's no continuity within the show. It's like start, middle, end. This one actually had like ebbs and flows, is what we need.
Yeah, definitely was cohesive, which hasn't happened in a while. One of the things I liked most about Raw, though, was that, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems with the show is that it doesn't recognize its own history enough. It often glosses over things to make for new stories. I really like some of the callbacks we got. Like AJ Styles in the club, for one. The McIntyre Slater angle, that whole thing that they're calling back to years past, where you had the club, where you had 3MB, and they're not ignoring that anymore. Like they a lot of times they do ignore their own history for the sake of a story. And I felt like they did a lot better job tonight recognizing their own history and playing off of it.
Yeah, which is, again, different, because WWE can do it. We have people in the chat right now. Wilf is in the chat. Conrad's in the chat. We got so many people in the chat just talking. Please feel free to ask us anything if you need to. But Wilf just brought up a good point. WWE can choose to do. If they choose to do cool shit, they'll do it. But it's just they don't. It's not that they. Who knows if they're not? It just doesn't seem like they are. What would you say, Kevin, if you were writing for WWE right now, how would you approach it? Because it's a wild, wild show.
I don't envy any of the writers on WWE's creative team, because they have a thankless job.
Oh yeah.
You never hear praise for the writers. When Raw is good, it's the performers. When Raw is bad, it's the writers.
Yeah.
If I'm on the WWE creative team, I'm writing for Raw, I'm writing for SmackDown. I think that cohesion is the thing I'm looking for most. I want storylines that make sense week in and week out. Yeah. I don't want to do shows that are like you have a sitcom show where one episode and the next episode don't tie in together at all. Mm-hmm. Like they're both like completely separate things. I feel like that with Raw sometimes, where one episode is so completely different from the next that you're losing continuity, you're losing storyline development and character development. That's what I would pay attention to most.
Yeah, I would as well. It is a thankless job being a writer. I don't know. It's hard. Conrad just mentioned that, SmackDown kind of felt like a bit flat compared to Raw. Do you think with this... Listen, I'm not even going to call it the wild card rule anymore. The brand split is over to me. It's just an excuse to have more championships, to be honest. But do you think that SmackDown at the moment is suffering because Raw had everything, and then SmackDown, in a sense, not with every segment, felt like a little bit of a rehash of what we were just doing on Raw?
Well, yeah, I mean, they replayed a lot of stuff from Raw. They had Rollins continuing his angle on Raw. I'm worried that SmackDown is going to, for now, because when October rolls around, they move to Fox, SmackDown's going to be the priority.
Yeah.
But for now, I feel like they're okay with letting it become the B show again and just sort of rehashing things they did on Raw for SmackDown. And I'm afraid of that because SmackDown has always been so good at standing on its own, at least since 2016. it's been so good at standing on its own and being such a different show than Raw that I really don't want it to sink back into being the same shit over and over again.
No.
Also, you gotta answer a question for me. Was Roman Reigns on SmackDown?
Yes? No.
I don't believe. Let's see. Chat, if you're out there and you have an answer to that question, please feel free. My point being that Roman Reigns, a SmackDown superstar, was on Raw and not SmackDown. If he was, Conrad says no, he wasn't. That's just so weird to me. Like, he's your biggest SmackDown star. He was drafted to SmackDown or shook up to SmackDown or whatever the hell you want to call it. And you're not having him on the show because you're prioritizing Raw right now. You shouldn't be prioritizing one show over another at all, even though they are and they will continue to do so. I really wish they maintained a brand split. It seems like it's dead. I wish it wasn't because you're making two shows into one.
Yeah, especially in this time when we're going into October with the Fox deal, you can't let SmackDown take a back seat. It has to be, really, in a perfect world, no show should be a priority over the other. They should be together. They should be. We have Raw and then we have SmackDown. Honestly, maybe the breakup between Monday to Friday will help. Because there's days to process what's happened on Raw, and then we come to Friday, and it's kind of fresh. It's 4 days apart. So, do you see the gap? Do you see the gap helping?
Yeah, I see that. I definitely think it could help because you'll have time to digest Raw, get over Raw, get into a SmackDown mode, and even if they do sort of similar stuff. We won't be so quick to judge it because it won't be literally the same thing 2 days in a row. It'll be the same thing bookending the week.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't want them to do that. I don't want them to get into that mode where they're just doing the same stuff because I feel like they have a couple days leeway. But they definitely could get away with it, and they definitely have a bigger opportunity to make SmackDown fresher with the gap in between Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, and Wolf just brought up that I'm great and I have a good point, and also that NXT revamps your mood. And we look at the week. Look at the week in when SmackDown moves in October. You essentially have Raw, then we have whatever AEW is doing on probably Tuesdays.
We're thinking Tuesday. Yeah.
We have NXT on Wednesdays. Thursday is kind of a break day, and then Friday is SmackDown, and then you potentially could have a takeover on the Saturday and a pay-per-view on a Sunday,
or an AEW pay-per-view on Saturday and a WWE pay-per-view on Sunday.
That's no joke. You could have that's a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, and it's better to space it out than to front load it. Because
at least with the space out, it's WWE, AEW, NXT, WWE again. Then there is potential for again ebbs and flows.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
But it's a lot better of a business plan than to just have that Saturday to Tuesday stretch where it's takeover, pay-per-view, Raw, SmackDown. That gets tiring. There needs to be some sort of break in between. I know there needs to be some sort of break in between all that because that is an absolute stretch. And by the time you get SmackDown on Tuesday, you don't give a shit anymore. You just want it to be next week.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Here's a question for you. You're the smart one of us two.
I know.
Next year. Oh, wow. I know. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah. Tickets. Anyway, next year, WrestleMania weekend. How does it work? Do we go... How does TakeOver, SmackDown, Raw, Hall of Fame, WrestleMania... How does that flow in a weekend?
I don't fucking know. I suspect, though... Oh, jeez. They might do something where they put the Hall of Fame on the network after SmackDown on Friday. Or, it has to... I think that's the best possible solution without moving... Because you can't move SmackDown. you can't put a TakeOver on the same night as a SmackDown. Unless they went back to like the old Wednesday takeovers, like the Full Sail takeovers, then the only logistical plan I see is to put the Hall of Fame on Friday night after after SmackDown.
Do you think that it's possible that SmackDown is a special airing of the Hall of Fame on Fox?
Oh, I kind of like that. I don't know if they'll do that because the SmackDown before WrestleMania can be so important. I don't think they would can it for the Hall of Fame like a special episode. I think the two would have to be separate things.
Okay. I was just saying because you've got Access running at the same time. Like Friday, I believe Access, does that start on Thursday before Mania? I'm not exactly sure, but...
Wednesday or Thursday. I never really paid attention to the Access stuff.
So it's like Access, Hall of Fame, the potential of SmackDown running. Yeah, it just seems like something's got to give here. Because you can't possibly run everything. They're not going to move Hall of Fame to after WrestleMania. You couldn't see them running TakeOver after WrestleMania.
No.
But who knows? Who knows how that will work? The Fox deal with SmackDown changing to Fridays is... How does that work for you? How does a Friday night work for Kevin?
Well, it's... Shut up, Odie. The bird's name is Odie. For me personally, Friday nights are going to be tough because I am a social butterfly, and I like to go out and have a couple drinks on Friday. And I could always just wait till after SmackDown's over. It's like SmackDown starts at 8, ends at 10. It's still relatively early.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have too much of a problem with it. I would stay definitely through SmackDown because I'm not going to watch half of it then go out.
Yeah.
I can't watch SmackDown at the bar because the last time I tried to put wrestling on at the bar, I was ridiculed. The Friday night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock New Japan showings on Access Television, I used to put those on in the bar and make everybody watch them. But that didn't go over well, so I stopped. So I'm not going to put SmackDown on there. But it would be tough Friday nights, but I could pull it off.
Yeah. Feel sorry for me. I have to watch SmackDown live on a Saturday morning. What? No.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to watch SmackDown live on a Saturday morning. It's not fun.
I always forget it's different for you.
Yeah. It's that's an odd day. I'm not going to be able to watch SmackDown live very often. Because it's a Saturday morning. Oh, Saturday morning slam. Remember that? Do you remember that, Kevin?
I never once watched it, but I do remember it.
I watched it once. You weren't allowed to do any shots to the face. It was banned. It was all grappling and submissions, but no head submissions. It was.
And I want to point out something our good friend and Brainbusta follower Orion said in the chat. What if they did Hall of Fame on Thursday? I can get behind that.
But then isn't it the same thing of that long stretch? You'd essentially.
Yeah, but it's WrestleMania weekend, so I'm ready for that stretch. True. I'm just not all about a Survivor Series weekend, or Survivor Series is, in my opinion, the weakest of the big four. And you get a TakeOver, Survivor Series, Raw, SmackDown, that kind of weekend. Or even when we just had TakeOver on in June, and the TakeOver doesn't have to be tied to a major pay-per-view. There's always at least a fifth one throughout the year that gets a June playing.
Yeah.
So what if we get a B show pay-per-view like Stomping Grounds or God, I don't even know what else, or a Saudi show, and it's Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. You get a break, but that's a lot of wrestling, and I'm only really conditioned to watch a lot of wrestling a couple times a year, and mainly WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's Mania, SummerSlam, Rumble. I don't know. Here's a question. Survivor Series, you said it was the weakest of the 4 in your opinion.
My least favorite, I'd say. Maybe not the weakest, depending on what the cards look like for other stuff, but I don't know. It's definitely gotten better since the brand split. The Raw versus...
Well, how the fuck does it work this year? The wild card rule has made Survivor Series redundant.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that question. I just... Yeah, the brand split being sort of dead really puts a damper on Survivor Series because then you just have to go back to, like, it just seems like a regular pay-per-view.
Yeah, and that's what I don't like. I used to love Survivor Series as well. It was a fun show. I love that, I love that Raw versus SmackDown kind of deal. I've always been like that. It's head-to-head in direct competition, Foul. You gotta get that right. Foul's in the chat. Shout out to Foul. He's great. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, we got a question here from Conrad that I didn't want to gloss over. How did I feel about Wrestle Kingdom? I don't know if you have an answer for this one, Josh. How do you feel about Wrestle Kingdom going to 2 days? What if WrestleMania went to 2 days?
I don't know. The problem, I don't have a problem with it. It would spread it out, so it's a long show. WrestleMania is long. I do expect it to be long, but it's a long time to ask anyone to watch anything. But if you spread it out over 2 days, you give people kind of time to process. However, do you think WWE could pull that off? Could they pull off essentially asking people to give up 2 days of their lives?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Wrestle Kingdom going to 2 nights because I feel like you're going to have a definite better night. Like, I don't feel like the shows are going to be as balanced. And I think that I prefer that one jam-packed night of action. And so my answer for WrestleMania would be the same. I'd rather it be on one night because, first of all, 2 huge nights in a row is like going to blow your brain out of your skull. And then, like, what happens when one night's better than the other? Like, with WWE, it might actually be easier to pull off because you have 2 world titles. So you can main event WWE title on one night and the Universal Championship on the other night. New Japan only has the 1 world title. I feel like even though you're going to get great matches for other belts, the Intercontinental, the United States, the Never Openweight, you only one show could get that world title match. And I'm not crazy about the whole Wrestle Kingdom, WrestleMania 2 nights thing. I could see how it works. I don't think it's the worst idea. I just prefer the other direction.
No, I get that. I completely understand. Shifting focus. I wanted to get Kevin's opinion on this because I can be a little bit overexcited about things. You're kind of like my level ground. You make me think. So, the Nikki Cross, Bayley, Alexa Bliss story. I love it. I think it's actually pretty good. Like, I think it's a good, complex story. However, I know how I am. I look into things, I'm like, this is so amazing, and I need to sometimes I need to tone it down.
Yeah.
Your opinion. What do you think, just in general, of this whole story that's going on with Bliss and Nikki and Bayley?
I like the story. I just don't think Nikki Cross is the right fit.
Oh.
It just doesn't...
Oh, you're going to get some people having some comments on that, Kevin.
Good. Bring it the fuck on. Parental advisory. Yeah, I don't think Nikki Cross is the right fit. I don't think she was the type to just make friends and be used, and she's so nuts and she's so crazy. That's her character. That was her character, and it was perfect. And I just don't like the way they sort of neutered her, and now she's just playing like bait in the story. I think that someone like an Ember Moon or even like a Ember Moon, that's the person I could think would fit this because she's not crazy. She's someone who you could see making friends backstage. and she's also really good, so she would tie into the story really well. The story itself, though, especially after Bliss's promo on Monday night, the story feels really great.
All right. I'm disagreeing with you, Kevin. 100,000% on Nikki Cross not being the right person. Okay. Let me explain. So, Nikki Cross is this crazy, out there kind of character. And I still think she is that. You look at her when she's wrestling, you look at her when she makes her way to the ring, you look at her with anybody else, she's nuts. Those kind of characters to me are not just, the black and white. They are the ultimate shades of grey, because in her mind, she's so nutty, but Bliss brings her to sanity. She goes, she's my friend. She understands me. She gets me. I'll do anything to protect Alexa Bliss. I'll listen to anything she says because she's telling the truth. She's the one that's telling me that Bayley's saying all this stuff about me. At any cost, I'll protect Alexa Bliss. However, there's a sense of unwillingness from Nikki. Crazy isn't just being out there and nuts. It's being complex in your own brain. To me, I look at that and I go, this is perfect. Bliss is obviously using her, which we get. We understand that. However, Nikki doesn't realize that. And it's going to send Nikki even more crazy when she realizes that Bliss is using her to get ahead. That's how I think this story is playing out. Come Stomping Grounds, you could easily go two ways. You could have Nikki inadvertently cost Bliss the championship, and Bliss goes, I don't need you, you're useless. Nikki goes nuts. Or Nikki helps Bliss to get the championship, and Bliss has successfully used Nikki, and then we go from there into a story that's eventually going to lead to Nikki versus Bliss at some point. So I think this story is 100% perfect for everyone involved.
Okay. That's a good sell.
Yeah.
I mean, you make some salient points.
Crazy isn't just nuts.
What's up?
I said crazy isn't just nuts.
All right, I guess crazy is complex. The thing with WWE is that they don't have complex characters, really, so that's why I'm predisposed to think that they've changed their character, because I don't think they're smart enough to bring about all the things that you just said.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes, not all the time, every story is different, but WWE can create complex stories if they want to. And hey, they're in a time where they need to take some risks. They need to do something different. Maybe this is their answer to something different. I'm digging it. I really am digging it. I don't know why, and hey, if they fuck it up, they fuck it up. And that's on me for getting too hyped. But speaking of the match at Stomping Grounds, Bayley and Bliss, do you feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this match? Because they have a track record and their matches are actually pretty good. If you watch Payback 2017, Bayley and Bliss brought it. They had a really decent match. A lot of people are not looking forward to Bliss and Bayley. What do you expect from Stomping Grounds?
From that particular match, I expect a lot, because I think Bayley and Bliss are both operating maybe at the highest point in their careers on the main roster, because I thought they were both terrific at NXT. I don't know if Bayley will ever top her NXT run, but she's certainly making a push for it. And Bliss too. Bliss is just outstanding. And that promo she cut on Monday night, where she said that she basically said what people were thinking. Bayley peaked in NXT. It's just Bayley's chance to show that that's wrong and to prove the doubters and the naysayers wrong. I think Bayley's on a terrific run right now. I don't think she should lose the title. I'm enjoying what she's doing with it way too much. But I know how much they love to saddle Bliss with championships. Yeah. And you could transition to the Bliss Cross story a bit easier if Bayley's out of the picture. Yeah. So I could see it going either way, and I expect a good match. They've put on good matches in the past.
They have. And a lot of people are like, I'm not looking forward to this. This isn't something I'm excited for. And I'm like, why? Look at their track record. Outside of that kendo stick on a pole match, that was not great. But that wasn't even that it was bad. It was just booked really weird. It was a really weird match.
That one was doomed from the start, because the minute you put the kendo stick on the pole and say this is what we're going with, people are gonna shit on it.
Yeah, no joke. Go on.
Very Russo-esque, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, that is. It's odd.
Russo 2000s WCW. If he was even there, I don't know. I don't know the timeline that well. All I know is that WCW sucked at the end, so I blame him.
Yeah. Yeah. Something else that, people like to talk about is Ember Moon. And
Girl.
she's in a storyline with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Now, I guess this is over because Sonya broke her Switch. I mean, I wouldn't like if someone broke my Switch, to be honest with you. I'd probably be pretty pissed as well. And then she knocked donuts out of their hand. Two things I love a lot, video games and food. So maybe don't fuck with that. I'd probably fight someone as well. But where is this story going? This just seems like we're just getting people on TV at this point.
I think maybe it's going to bring Ember out of her shell. She's been not heavily featured, and you may be right. This is a case of getting people on TV, but these are three people, Mandy, Sonya, and Ember, that should be on TV. And we should be getting more of a showcase of the SmackDown's women division because it is loaded. Yeah. So I don't hate this story. I like where it's going. I think we're going to see Ember and Mandy, Ember and Sonya. I think those both have the potential to be very good matches. Yeah. I think Ember Moon could put on a good match with just about anybody. I'm really high on her. I think she's going to be a women's champion someday. I hope so. Sooner rather than later, hopefully, too. But I think this is just a platform for her to move on to bigger and better things.
Okay, so I'm just going to say it. I'm not the biggest supporter of Ember Moon. I think she's good, and she is cool in the ring, but I find her so boring outside of the ring. It's just my opinion. Again, doesn't mean she's bad. I don't get what everybody else is saying, because everybody loves Ember, and I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't like, again, she ain't bad. She's not bad at all, but she's just kind of bland. I knew you probably wouldn't like that. A lot of people won't like me for that.
Open your eyes, Josh.
She's good in the ring. I'm not saying she's not good in the ring.
She's great in the ring.
Okay.
She has put on some absolutely classic matches. Go back and watch Ember Moon and Asuka take over Brooklyn, whichever one it was. She's so good, and I don't think she's bland. I don't think they're giving her a chance to show off, but I don't think she's bland. I loved her War Goddess character in NXT. She seems so cool. She still seems kind of cool. They're turning her into a nerd, though. The comic books and the Switch, I don't hate it. It's a character, and it probably fits in with her real-life persona really well. But she has to have a chance to exercise that character and to show some character. I don't think she's been given that chance until just recently. So, keep an eye out. I think she's going to do good things.
Okay. I'll eat my words then if she proves me wrong, I guess.
Yeah, if she proves you wrong, I want an on-air apology.
No. It's not happening at all. Who made you boss, Kevin?
I just did. We're live on Twitch. I am shaking things up.
Oh, man. Well, I'm about to introduce the wild card rule, and you're on out of here then.
Oh, man. I'll just jump shows.
We'll just go to... We'll just pop in and go wild card.
Yeah. I'll just pop in on I'll pop in on Wilf's new show and just... Wild card, bitches! If you ever saw It's Always Sunny.
Oh, man. Kevin, you have one-liners. You get me all the time. I'm like...
I'm sharp. I'm quick.
Yeah, you're very witty. It's It's very schmick. Because, speaking of schmick, something's finally happening. The IIconics are in a storyline. However, I'm now shitting my pants. Because
now I gotta defend the belts.
Everyone who follows me on Twitter, or was just in the zone of my Twitter on Raw this week, I was panicking. I thought it was the end. Anytime those girls defend the titles, which is once, no, twice. They've defended it twice. It's twice. That was the second time. They defended it the SmackDown Live after Mania against two unknowns, but it was still a defense. Anyway, I was panicking. I thought it was the end. You know, Kevin, how crazy I went when they won.
I do.
I don't think you understand how crazy I'm going to go if/when they lose.
I don't know if I could possibly understand that. I couldn't possibly fathom how you're going to fare when the IIconics lose those belts, which I think will be sooner. I can't see them with the belts anymore. I don't think that they're. I think that they're primed to drop them, and I hate to say that because I know it makes you upset. But sometimes good things don't last. I like the IIconics. I have no problem with the IIconics. I think their shtick is funny as hell. But titles are meant to be lost, and I don't think they have much momentum with the titles. Maybe they can get more without them, chasing them back.
So for anyone that doesn't know, next week WWE is doing live events in Tokyo, in Japan. So the team of Asuka and Kairi Sane are taking on the IIconics. If Sane and Asuka win, they get a future Women's Tag Team Championship match. Now, on one hand, I'm like, yes, the IIconics are on TV, Asuka and Kairi Sane, Paige, we're getting some story for the tag titles, what we should have had this whole time. On the other hand, it's happening. The build to the dropping of the titles is happening. The IIconics definitely lose in Tokyo next week. That's happening. It's just where we go from there. Do they lose on their first defense against Asuka and Kairi Sane? Do we build this? Where do you see this going? Do you see it not lasting long? Do you see this just being the feud that takes the title away from the IIconics?
I don't think they have the attention span to really run this too long. I don't think they. I think they want to get the belts on the so-called Kabuki Warriors as quickly as they can, as swiftly as they can. I love Asuka, and I absolutely adore Kairi Sane. She's one of my favorite women on the roster. So I'd love to see them with gold, and I'd love to see them on TV, and I'd love to see them maybe put some shine back on those belts. But I don't see it going any longer than it has. Than a couple of shows.
Yeah. It is a shame, but I knew this day was going to come. In my land, I wish the IIconics would never defend the tag team championships and the tag team champions forever. But it just isn't happening. It's going to be a sad day in my household. But hey, it happens. Everyone drops titles. But moving on from the IIconics, something else that seems to not taken a back seat, but there's certainly less of this week, and that was Shane McMahon. It kind of stuck to a few segments instead of being, plastered and being the main event of the whole show. Shane McMahon's story still went. It still happened, but it definitely wasn't as prominent as previous weeks. Is that safe to say?
I think they're listening to us. Maybe. Well, maybe. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just like, they just got lucky with something. But yeah, there was less Shane. And when we did see Shane on Raw, he was getting his absolute ass kicked by Roman Reigns. That has been so long coming. I think that's what we've all been waiting to see, was Shane McMahon just get beat up. And finally, hopefully, after Reigns faces McIntyre on Sunday, depending on how the match goes, hopefully we see the end of Shane just like being an every week TV presence, and he only comes around when he's needed.
Yeah, and that's what I hope, because I've never been one of those people that hates on Shane McMahon. I don't hate Shane McMahon, but I certainly don't want him plastered all over my show. You
No,
know what I mean?
he's not meant to be an every week performer. He's not meant to be on SmackDown and Raw every single week. I love Shane McMahon until he started being on TV every week and racking up wins over superstars he had no business racking up wins over.
Yeah.
You know, he's got 2 wins over The Miz. He's got a win over Roman Reigns. Just interference be damned. That's going to go into the ledger as Shane McMahon defeats Roman Reigns on the show they hype as one of the biggest of the year. I don't necessarily believe the Saudi shows are that big. Clearly, they're not really booked for us. They're booked for a different kind of fan who likes the old shit. But definitely noticed something with Shane where he's maybe taking a back seat. McIntyre's taking more of the focus, as should be. And hopefully that's how it goes from now on. Because McIntyre's not fit to be anybody's lackey.
No, he's certainly not. What do you think of the kind of faction that Shane McMahon has low-key built with himself, Elias, Drew, and the Revival? Does that work for you?
I don't mind it. It's a good heel faction. It's, you know, it gets the Revival on TV. It makes them seem important, which is good because they're the Raw Tag Team Champions. Elias is good for the role because he's got nothing else to do. I don't like how sometimes he's not there. Like he wasn't invited to the. I mean, he did get beat up, but they didn't show him backstage at the Shane McMahon VIP party at all. He's been absent sometimes from Raw. They don't always bring him over as a wild card, which I shouldn't be mad about because them bringing the same superstars over as wild cards gets annoying as hell. But I think for the most part, it's a good faction. I don't see it lasting much longer. I think after Shane goes, these guys go their separate ways. Because like I said, Drew McIntyre is too good to be like a faction henchman. The Revival, frankly, are too good to be faction henchmen. Elias is a good fit. Shane and Elias are a very good fit. I'm not crazy about Elias, so I don't mind seeing him do someone else's dirty work rather than stand on his own because I don't think he stands on his own very well in the ring. On the microphone, he's very good, but I don't think he's that great overall when it comes down to it.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Shifting gears to something that we will definitely probably not agree on. Baron Corbin. I want to talk about Baron Corbin. He certainly evokes a lot of emotion out of people. Baron can genuinely get heat, which is something that not everyone can do. Whether it's good heat or bad, he gets it. No one really seems to like him. I don't mind Baron Corbin. I would not be opposed to seeing him win the Universal Championship. I wouldn't. I know you probably would, because you're not a Baron Corbin guy, are you?
I wouldn't mind seeing him win it because that would be the heat would be unreal. He does his job, which is literally what you ask of somebody when they work for you is you do your job. His job is to get heat, make people hate him. He's one of maybe 2 guys on the roster right now that has real heat, the other being probably Shane. And he is so good at what he does. He's gotten so much better over the last year or so, too. He's gotten more comfortable in the role. I like him. I like the way he wrestles, like dressed in his waiter getup. I think that's funny as hell. I don't mind that at all. I think that fits his character. That he still thinks he's a power figure.
Yeah.
Where he's got no power. If he wins the Universal title, people are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
But I think people are going to tune in and be pissed rather than tune out and be pissed because they're going to want to see who takes that belt off him next.
Yeah, no joke. Of course, he is picking the special referee for Stomping Grounds. I have a little bit of a hot take on that. Obviously, we're not getting the reveal until Stomping Grounds, the show, probably before the match, just before the match starts.
Yeah.
There's a little part of me that says this referee is going to be Brock Lesnar. because, you know, they've been lurking around, like, oh, is he going to cash in? Maybe it's going to be Brock. Maybe it's going to be Heyman being the referee, and then it leads to something with an attempt at a cash in or even a cash in. Is there really anyone else that you can think about that would be a referee for this match?
Well, Seth Rollins has scared everybody else away.
Yeah.
Unless we get Bray Wyatt as the referee, which I think would be a bad move because I don't think that's worthy of him being back on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lesnar's not a bad option because he's going to be floating. Because then you have that sense of uncertainty with, is he going to cash in on the winner?
See? It's just
All right, got the wheels turning in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, Conrad said the same thing in the chat. You know, Heyman. It could be a combination of them. They've been kind of lurking. They haven't been the main kind of thing, but it's definitely been in the back of everyone's mind that they're there, that Brock's got the money in the bank, and he could show up at any time. It's a possibility. It might not happen, I don't know. But it certainly could. I don't know. I don't really expect much from that match. I didn't watch Super Showdown. You did, didn't you, Kevin?
I did. I like the match.
So it was a guide. I have no idea. Was that match good?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
Like, Corbin is an underrated ring worker. Like,
Yeah,
he does
he
not
is.
get any credit for his skills in the ring. And Rollins is Rollins.
Rollins is
They had pretty good chemistry, I thought. They had a pretty good match.
Well, that's a good thing. I don't know. Does this main event at Stomping Grounds, is this the last match of the night?
If they're gonna do something with Lesnar involved, it'll be last.
Yeah. I could see it being last. I don't see Kofi and Dolph going on last.
No, I don't think. I think they value the Universal belt over the WWE belt at this point. I think that's pretty much a lock to go on last to most shows.
Yeah. Speaking of Kofi and Dolph, there's still cage match at Stomping Grounds this weekend. Kofi Kingston, to me, is one of the better booked WWE champions in recent memory. He doesn't really lose. He doesn't lose, does he? Like, he does. When does Kofi lose?
I saw a stat the other day where it was like Kofi has won like 16 straight matches on TV.
Exactly. You know, a lot of people
That's how the champion should be booked. They shouldn't be losing. They're goddamn champion.
No, and people are like, Kofi's so, you know, he's a horrible WWE champion. Like, he doesn't lose. He's featured on every single SmackDown. He's main eventing pretty much every single SmackDown. And the way they're utilizing the New Day is actually really smart. They're not using it as like, they're just, he's just, you know, has these friends and stuff like, they're involved. The New Day, to me, is the WWE champion. It's not just Kofi. Because Woods has been in main events now. Big E's come back into the fray. It actually seems like they're booking the champion the way they should be booked. And utilizing any, you know, environment or friends around them to help that. So I actually think Kofi's done a fantastic job as WWE champion. I don't think it's ending at Stomping Grounds.
No.
I don't see Dolph getting it.
No, I don't see Dolph winning either. This is a placeholder feud. That said, I like the feud. I think Dolph has been really good.
Yeah.
Their match at Super Showdown left a little to be desired. I think this one will be better.
Yeah. I mean, they've had plenty of decent matches in the past. They've wrestled each other countless times.
Go past 11 years and find matches for Kofi and Dolph.
Yeah.
But to your point about, I really like what you said about the New Day being the WWE champion. I'm going to steal that at some point.
Go for it.
In my life. Because it does. They all feel more important as a result of him having the belt.
Yeah. No, like, there's no... It's not just Kofi and the boys. You know what I mean? It's the New Day. They're the main event. They're involved. I kind of like where they're going because, you know, it's always the stable and the heel champion, the heel stable, and, you know, they're using their numbers to the advantage to keep the championships. In this case, they're not. It's a face stable. Kofi is very much a babyface. The New Day is very much a babyface. So they have to actually think about how they're utilizing the New Day. They can't help Kofi win keep winning and cheat, because it's not what they do. They actually have to think about it. Like, to me, writing, not that I'm a writer by any stretch of the words, but writing for a heel would be so much easier than writing for a babyface. It's easier to write something that, is dastardly and bad and they can cheat. With a babyface, if you write for a babyface, it can come across as just cheesy so often. So you have to really, it's a lot more complex, in my eyes, to book a babyface.
I agree. I think, like I just said, babyfaces tend to be generic, they tend to be cheesy, and they tend not to get over.
Yeah.
In this day and age, people gravitate towards heels because their stories are more complex oftentimes.
Yeah.
Kofi's isn't a complex story. It's a pretty simple story, but it's worked so well, and they've booked him so well that people feel like it's more complex than it is.
Yeah.
But that's the best type of story, is a story that makes people think without thinking too hard.
Yeah, it's just flowing. Ebbs and flows, my friend. The only thing else I want to kind of touch on here is, going into Stomping Grounds this weekend and everything that's going on with that, and the whole show itself, people are like, I'm not really feeling it. There isn't much excitement going into it. I think people are kind of sleeping on this whole show, because you look at the card, and it honestly is not a bad card at all.
I'll be completely honest. I didn't know till Raw that Stomping Grounds was this Sunday.
Oh, wow.
It's because I've been so tuned out over the last couple
I get
weeks.
it.
Bad.
I definitely understand that.
Looking at the card itself, taking the card for what it is, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah. What's stealing the show this weekend?
Jeez, I don't know. I don't even know how. I still don't even. Couldn't even. I think Reigns McIntyre is going to be a good bet. I think it's going to be a good match.
Fair.
I'm looking forward to that, because I know it's been part of the larger Shane McMahon story, which I don't necessarily appreciate, but Drew and Roman have had a good feud.
Yeah. It's essentially been going since before WrestleMania. Remember, this was a match at Mania. I think some people forget that.
Yeah.
It was was that match at Mania placed in between bigger matches? I feel like it could have been.
I honestly don't remember it as much, and that probably is the case. Yeah. I don't remember the match at Mania all that well.
Yeah.
I think they have the potential to do better this time.
Stomping Grounds, of course, again, this weekend. Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch, Raw Women's Championship. Do you think that Lacey can pull out an upset?
No. I think Becky Lynch wins. I don't see her losing the belt to Evans.
Do you think that this story and this build for just looking at Lacey has worked? Yeah.
I think it's gotten Lacey into a star. I think it's turned Lacey into a star.
Fair.
I think Lacey's bigger now than she was when she was just walking out and not doing anything. I don't think it would have been that hard to improve on that, but I think it leaps and bounds better what she's doing now. She's also one who's got some heat, and for good reason. I mean, she's really good at being a bad person, just an annoying person. One thing that kind of jumped out to me on Raw was that they were she's touting up her Marine background.
I noticed that, yeah.
Which she doesn't always do. It seems like more of a babyface move than a heel move. But when you're a Marine, former Marine, I mean, you can kind of do whatever you want. And I do think that that's an important part of her backstory that we don't talk about enough.
Yeah, it is. And another thing I like what they're doing with Lacey is that not only are they tapping into her background as a Marine, that she's also playing up the fact that she has sex appeal. Because that's like the anti-women's wrestler thing to do in this day and age is, I'm attractive. Look at me. Because that was very diva-esque. I kind of like that. She's a heel. you should be kind of like, no, don't say that. But she's a bad guy. She's meant to be not liked. I think that works really well. It's smart. It's, a lot of what Mandy Rose was doing and some other women along the way. But it is, she's talking about that and then kind of using that to enhance her, I guess, character.
Yeah, all the talk about currying favors and stuff, that's like the implication that I'm reading out of that.
Yes.
And I think that's so good. Like that's a modern heel. Yeah. That's how a modern heel does business. Is like they use real life things that people hate, and like sex. Like at this point, sex appeal is something that we don't look at for women's wrestling as much because we're focused more on the in-ring work and the microphone work and all that, which is good. But for her to be like using that to get heat is really smart.
Yeah, it's the anti thing to do at the moment. It's a good thing. She does play on the, everyone says, oh, WWE only push blonde women and stuff like that. So why not utilize that?
It's their tongue-in-cheek way of saying they hear what we're saying and they're not gonna be swayed by us. This is a little tongue-in-cheek, almost a joke from them. Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. Overall, as we kind of wind down here, Stomping Grounds, I don't think it'll be like the greatest show ever, but it'll be fun. It should be fun.
I think it might surprise some people.
Yeah. I don't even know where Stomping Grounds is. I think it's somewhere in Washington.
It's in Tacoma, Washington.
I've never even heard of that place.
Yeah, it's kind of a smaller market for a pay-per-view show, and that's probably why ticket sales aren't as great.
I did hear about the ticket sales being a little lackluster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never even heard of that place, so impress me, I guess. Because crowds are weird with WWE in 2019. You need to be in a hot market to get a hot crowd. There really isn't. It's not everywhere you go is going to be hot anymore, is it?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't expect too much of a hot crowd from Washington. I hope they prove me wrong. I know precisely 2 people from Washington. They're both good people, so I hope the rest of the state is a reflection of that.
Oh, that's funny. So the only thing left to talk about is New Japan's going to be in Melbourne and Sydney in a few weeks' time. Just over a week.
Southern Showdown.
I can't go, but I mean Melbourne's a long way away from me. Sydney's even further away from me. But New Japan Southern Showdown in Melbourne's going to be streamed right on. It's going to be an actual event that you can watch. Am I wrong? I don't know.
I believe so. I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
I think I've seen it on Fight TV. So
yeah, I mean,
I think I could be wrong though. I could be making that up because I'm not following New Japan enough to know. But it would have been something I was actually interested in going since I'm not going to any WWE show this year or anything like that. It'll be my first time in like 6 years I'm not going to Melbourne.
Damn.
I love Melbourne. Shout out to Melbourne. Anyone from Melbourne that's listening to this, Melbourne is a great city. Melbourne's really, really modern. It's a very modern city. But anyway, that's coming up. So I guess Australian wrestling, Kevin, I'll give you a little bit of a thing, is in a little bit of a boom period. There's a lot of wrestling, a lot of local wrestling, a lot of, companies becoming bigger and bigger and bigger here. There's a lot, anytime you go to a city in Australia, there's just wrestling, which is a really good thing. Australia is a market for wrestling as well as, the UK and stuff like that. But yeah, New Japan are running a show in Melbourne and Sydney. Make sure to check it out. I'll be watching because I'm trying to watch more New Japan and whatever it may be. New Japan.
This is the proper time. This is the proper time to get into New Japan. We have the G1 Climax coming up in just a few short weeks.
Yes. I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm watching that. Because it's on my list of things. I have to start watching more New Japan. I watched Dominion. I enjoyed it.
Dominion was good.
Yeah. It's just, it's hard to... it's hard when you don't know who people are.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It's hard to get invested. I have to watch it way more often. And it's almost not forcing myself. I want to do it, but I have to push myself at least to go, okay, I have to get invested in these characters. Otherwise, you don't care.
Yeah.
And it's hard to...
That's what I'm doing now. Is that I'm not like the biggest New Japan guy, you know that.
Yeah.
But I'm watching a bunch of old shows. I'm watching last year's G1 Climax because it's got a lot of main guys that are in this year's, and I'm getting to know them, getting to know who I like and who I dislike. I've been taking notes. I've been ranking matches and stuff. I'm actually going to release all my data for Brainbusta Original Press sometime in Brainbusta Radio's G1 Climax week, which I don't remember the dates, like the 30th to the 6th.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll be releasing all my findings and my takes on everything and just getting ready for the G1. I'll be doing that. And I honestly think it's worth the time. It's really good.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of big names in that. But yeah, the only other thing that's coming up soon is Fyter Fest for AEW. That's again in a couple of weeks. It's the second show. I wouldn't really call it. It's like a sub show, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a pay-per-view feel to it, but it's got good matches on the card.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching.
Yeah, me too. It's free.
Well, it's not for me.
That sucks.
It's like $15 here, but that's not the worst. But yeah, Fyter Fest, and then on to the next Fight for the Fallen, All Out. AEW is coming in strong. It's coming in strong. Definitely
is. It's making waves really, really quickly.
Yeah. Well, that was this week's Wrestling Reverb. Please make sure you go follow Brainbusta Radio on Twitter, at Brainbusta Radio. Follow me and Kev on Twitter. You know where to find us at this point. Kev, anything you want to say to everyone listening and everyone here listening on Twitch as well?
Long live Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Damn. Wow. That's quite the
He's become my favorite New Japan guy.
Oh.
Oh, and rest in peace to Lionheart out of ICW, out of British Wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Passed away. Our thoughts and condolences are with his family and his close friends and his loved ones.
Yes, that's very sad news. But yeah, that'll do us this week for Wrestling Reverb. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Hey guys, while Josh is gracing you with his gorgeous Aussie accent and Kevin is blowing your mind with Graps Talk, just remember to start your week right every Monday by checking out the Wise Owl of Professional Wrestling, Omega Luke, right here on Brainbusta Radio.